the main goal after my experience as a horse trainer when I was traveling around the world giving the horse clinics was actually to just resource myself. So that's the reason why I was gonna plan to buy me a camper car to travel around the coast of Spain and Portugal to reconnect. And my main goal was actually to really just to write on my book. But the problem was at the moment when I sold my riding arena, I still had my horses in Belgium. So my plan was to bring them to the south of France. And I had two options. So I was thinking, hey, maybe I can just, with my two horses, maybe I can make just rent a trailer, bring them there, come back and fix all the paperwork for my house. And then afterwards, I will start with my journey with the camper car. But then I was thinking, maybe it can also be just a very good adventure if I just take my two horses and I just walk from Belgium to the south of France. I think it's going to be a really good experience. It's going to be a really good exercise in between me and my horses to build up the connection. But this is something where I was, to be honest, a little bit wrong. And this is what I would like to share with you guys. Because sometimes that's the big problem with social media. Sometimes you can show things that look really good, comfortable and positive, but sometimes you also have very difficult moments. So I shared a little bit when I was making the journey, but a lot of things was still holding behind. So what I would like to share about this is when I was making, for instance, the horse journey, when I was working before, when I was working before as the horse trainer for the last 2 or 3 years, I really enjoyed what I was doing. I really liked helping people, but the biggest problem with this I was just becoming way too tired. I was working 7 at 7. My whole year was booked out, and I lost a little bit my spontaneity. So the thing is, when I was leaving my horses, actually from already the first week, I started realizing that I was actually kind of tiring, even in a way, because mentally, what I really at the moment when I was making my journey, I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't really realize what it was. So it's only just a month ago, and this is something where I will go back afterwards, that I only just realized the thing that was missing at that moment was just having not a comfortable place, was not having not a home. So I think you can imagine, if you hike with your horses, you come to a lot of obstacles, you come to a lot of situations which you have to learn, which is a very good thing. I really like doing these things. But if you're already completely exhausted, it can be sometimes a little bit too much. Also, I do think the main reason why I was making this journey with my horses is not just a walk, that just I'm gonna go on a little adventure. The main reason why I would like to make such kind of a hike with my horses is to learn from me as a person. I don't really like to use the word spiritual, but you can say in a way, because it's more easy for the people to understand. It was some kind of a spiritual journey, but even this, it was just too tiring. Mentally, I already wanted to be in the south of France, so every day I was just walking and I was doing my thing, and I didn't find inner peace. I didn't find my inner calmness. And then the problem was, when you walk with your horses next to them, they always feel this kind of energy. So I was thinking it was going to improve the connection in between both of us, but actually it was just creating a little bit even the opposite. Now I sound maybe a little bit negative about the journey, which is, to be honest, also not completely true, because I also did have a lot of really good insights about this. And this is something, this is something which I'm gonna share much more in my book, which I'm writing. It takes a little bit longer than expected, but this is something I will share soon. There is already one little thing I can share about this kind of journey, which really was very helpful, and I was able to put this into a test. I, for instance, personally think that our body is really, if we're connected with this, it's like a guideline. So this is something you can practice on. You can really improve this. So when I was making my horse journey, from day one, I think 1 week or 1 week and a half, when I was traveling, I didn't use a compass, I didn't use a map, I was just using my inner compass. So I think you can imagine if you go outside and you go to the forest, there are a lot of sections. You can many times go to the left, you can go to the right. With each section, I always follow my inner compass. Sometimes you can have the feeling, oh, I want to go to the right, and because it's going to be much shorter, it's going to be simpler, and just, but you feel also, that's just the mind is saying you to go to the right, but internal you feel you have to go to the left. Even sometimes if it's going to be more complicated, it's still very important to listen to this inner compass, not to your mind. So what happens if you make this decision? You always end up with beautiful situations. You met up people, you find beautiful locations to sleep. So this is really something that really helped me in many, many ways. So the problem was, after 1 week and a half, then when I crossed the border with France, there was almost no more trails to the forest. There was a lot of fields and a lot of hiking trails through the fields. They always ended up on a dead end, so I always have to turn back, and it was just a little bit annoying. So in that moment I just decided to turn back and just use a compass and a map. There was also one more thing I would like to share about this, and all the other stuff I'm just gonna write in my book. It's really incredible how sometimes life can go. So for instance, completely in the beginning, even before I was a horse trainer, I was also guiding people through the forest in the south of Belgium. I was working for another guy. So we always often went, when we were hiking with the horses, we often stopped at a little bar in the middle of the forest. Now what happened when I left on this journey with my 2 horses, after 4 or 5 days walking, I knew you just walk south. You have to go to the south of France. So you do your inner compass, but you can also guide yourself on the sun and some other little things. But what happens after 3 or 4 days walking, I think even after 5 days, for some strange kind of reason, I was walking and I ended up at the bar where I was always drinking something with the guy I was working for. I mean, if you really think about it, what's the chance that something like this happens? I knew I was maybe in the region, but I had no close idea even I was so close to this bar. If I would have been 100 meters on the left or the right side of this bar, I would have never known I was even close to it. So I think that's just a perfect example how sometimes life can go. And also for me, the bar was really something. It represents something that was really like a memory from before. It touched something inside of me, which was very important also on this journey. So yeah, but all of the other things I will explain a little bit more in my book. So afterwards, when I arrived in the south of France, my horses, they found a really good place because they were standing at a good friend of me who was living living in the south of France. Afterwards, when I arrived there, I went back home because I have to fix some paperwork with selling the house, which is not always the best and nicest thing to do, but that's just part of life. And then afterwards, I was able to buy me the camper car, and the moment arrived to really start writing on my book. Now, this is a little bit the same situation. It was a very good thing to leave with my camper car. I met a lot of beautiful people, nice people. I did a lot of surfing. It was really good for me to reconnect with myself. But the thing which I didn't expect at all was, as being a horse trainer, 2 or 3 years before, everything was structured. I knew exactly what was gonna happen, or what kind of moment it was gonna happen. I knew when my clinics were gonna give. I knew all the interns who were gonna come. Everything was planned out. So you have to imagine afterwards, when you leave with the camper car, it's the complete opposite. You have a home on wheels. So there are so many different solutions to go on, so many different ways, that the contrast was so big that it was a good experience, but it was also a little bit chaotic. I think you can imagine if you arrive somewhere on the coast, you have some beautiful waves, but then you think, oh, there was another coast there, and I want to go there, and I want to go there. So actually I was driving to so many different directions the whole time that I also didn't have so much of an inner calmness, to be honest. And there's also the thing, at that moment I really just reconnect everything what I from my past. I really have to connect with myself again. So writing my book at the moment, I wrote a couple of pages, but not to say that was gonna be really very helpful for the book. Sorry. So afterwards, when I did this journey, I moved to the south of France because my parents at the time, they had a holiday home there. So I lived at the holiday home, and then I started realizing, I really like helping people. That's really one of the best things I really like doing in this life. Really helping people and sharing my knowledge. So the main plan, that's the reason why I quit my thing as a horse trainer, is because I felt too limited in what I was doing. I was always teaching about people. I tried to make a connection with life in general and our work with the horses. But still, if you give a clinic, it always, it's only just a weekend, and I just felt a little bit too limited. So I moved to the south of France. I was starting to write my book, which was going good. And then I made a decision to work on a online program. So this is something which was for me kind of a big step, because me as a person, I'm more the nature kind of guy. So to be honest, sitting behind a laptop is not really my thing. As you saw in the beginning of this Facebook live thing, I really need to get used to talking to a screen. But as you can see now during the talk, it's improving a little bit. So I did my own online program. It was a really a good exercise. I was very happy to do this, but I also still felt a little bit of limitations. I missed a little bit the physical contact with the people. So I only did one online program for 3 months, and after this 3-month program, I decided to visit a friend of me who was living in the Alps, close to Chamonix. So I went to the Alps, go to my friend, and I was walking in the forest next to the river, and then it just came on my mind. I just felt like, what I actually really would like to do is just do the combination. I really like traveling, I really like exploring, I like helping people, and I also really do like still having the connection with horses. So I came to the idea to move to the French Alps, to start guiding people in the mountains, and like this I just have the combination of everything. So I make this decision. I met someone who contacted me that I was able to visit her place because she was living in the French Alps close to Chamonix. But at the same time, I also had a person who was contacting me, which is at the moment now my girlfriend. So she contacted me that she also had like a beautiful alpage in the Swiss mountains, and that I was able to come and take a look, and maybe we were able to combine something, or maybe I was able to work together. So I made a combination. I started traveling to the person in Chamonix in the French Alps, and then the week after I also visited the place of my girlfriend now at the time. So when I arrived at this place here in the Swiss mountains, everything was just perfect. This was just the exact same thing what I was actually imagining for the future. You have a lot of ground. I was a beautiful person, obviously, because now she became my girlfriend. So everything just fell completely into place. So I just decided to stay straight away. Starting arranging everything with the horses. How can I fix everything? I started making a new program to invite people where they can sign up to this. And then I think this happened around February, I think in March. And then we started moving our horses in May. So we were able to put the horses from May up to the alpage. So what happened then, and this is a little bit the thing I would like to explain more to you guys, which is most of the important part, is when I arrived at this spot in alpage, I came to many realizations. So the main thing what I realized straight away is I started understanding what was missing before. I was always traveling. I was going from one place to another, and which was a good thing. Like I told you before, it was a really good experience, but it was tiring. When I arrived at this place, I just felt home. Even already when I was arriving in the apartment of my girlfriend, I also felt home. So after 1 month, 2 months being there, I started realizing like what's actually the most important thing for me. You know, it's not really so much about traveling anymore, and I just would like to stay at one spot, create something where people are able to come, they can feel this atmosphere, and they can really develop themselves. They can develop themselves in a really positive kind of way. So I already made my what's the name in English? I already made my invitations for people that I was gonna guide them through the mountains. So when they came, the first group came. I was really excited to start doing this, even if I mentally felt like, hey, listen, I would like to also just stay at this location. I still had the real sorry for my mumbling. I really had the excitement of going outside with them and just explore and see how it goes. So as you know, it's when you start doing something like this in the beginning, every time when you do something new, it always goes a little bit with bumps. You know, it's the first time you're doing this. Even if I know when I was a couple of years before, when I was guiding people just on horses, you cannot compare this with traveling in the mountains. You know, with a sleeping bag, a tent, the food for 4 or 5 days, all the bags, different kind of horses, the new group of people who need to connect with themselves. So it was a really good exercise just to see how everything was functioning. So people come first day, we meet up with each other, we start talking, we make the connection, and the day after we make one test with the horses before, without the bags, without the things, just to go for a little ride to see how everything was functioning. Everybody choose a horse, that was also fine. And the day after, so 2 days after, we start leaving with the bags, the tent, and we just start hiking in the mountains. The moment I left, and this was something for me was kind of difficult to see, I saw in the eyes of the horses that it was not really adding something else into their life. You know, for them it was just walking. It's even kind of tiring, you know, it's not flat, you have to go up, you have to go down, you have to carry the bags. It was a little bit of a struggle. And then I saw for the people, it was, of course you also have very good positive moments, but they're also struggle a little bit in the moment, because you have to put the bags in a good position, they move a little bit, you will walk next to the horses. When they're walking, you know, they lose a little bit of weight, you have to put the cinches a little bit tighter, so you have to stop many times. So it's really it was really good exercise. Then we find a beautiful location, we put the tents up, we have a really beautiful night. And then I really, for some kind of reason, I really felt like, you know, even if I like doing this kind of adventures, I really wanted to go back home. I really just wanted to be at the Alp, just be there together with the horses in a really calm environment. But then I already made my promise to the people that I was going to do this. So I felt stuck in a lot of ways. Now, also one thing is important to explain. When I came here, you know, I'm just together with my girlfriend. We starting to know each other. It's still kind of early. And so in between us, it was also something extra. When for her, the alpage, sharing this with a new person and having so many different type of people coming in her place, I really respect that she was able to open up for this kind of situation, because it was a really big change. So I was even afraid to go back to the alpage, because I was thinking, you know, she just has some time for her own now, she can also relax a little bit. So I didn't really want to continue the journey. I felt a bit obligated to the people, but I also didn't feel like I had to come back to the alpage. So that was just a whole mental struggle. So internal, and that's the thing which I learned on my horse journeys, and also just in life in general. I know that the most important thing is to listen to your inner feeling, the inner compass I was talking about before. And this is something which I didn't do at all. And when you don't do such kind of stuff, always, let us say, bad things happen. So this is something I was even thinking if I was gonna share the whole thing, but I think it is kind of important. What happens in this situation? So I was hiking with the 3 people. One of the horses, like I told you, sometimes the bags, they move a little bit. because of the weight. Sometimes the weight spread on over the backs is not so balanced. So when they're walking and you don't pay focus and the cinch is too loose, the saddle even goes on the belly. So the horses were so calm that even then they didn't spook. They were really calm horses, so there was no problem at all. And so what happens? We come back. So I will explain you why I tell you about the cinch and the saddle. So when I was walking back, I really felt stuck. Internal, I was really struggling. My whole body was telling me to go back, but I was just feeling stuck. The moment I make a decision to get okay, I just have to ignore my feeling. We have to continue the journey for 2 more days. On that moment, one of the participants was walking behind me, and we had one horse walking in liberty who was carrying the stuff, all the sleeping, the food and all the other stuff. And for some kind of reason, the horse got spooked a little bit. He pushed the horse of one of the participants and that was the horse, the really calm one, with the saddle on the belly, so he was never spooked. He was also getting afraid. He starts running. The woman, sadly enough, she falls on the ground. It was kind of a bad fall, to be honest. But she was doing fine. I was walking in front of the horse. The horse turns around, pushes me on the side. I get up. He was so afraid. Comes back, pushes me again on the ground. So my whole left side was completely open. Clothes were broke. 3 horses took off. They were just grazing in the pasture somewhere. And luckily, if the woman now is listening, of course it was not a good position. It was very bad that it happened, but it could have been much worse. So she was actually not too bad at all. At the other hand, I was completely messed up on one side. So it was not possible anymore to continue. We went to the closest bar. We put the horses on the fence somewhere, so they can just relax. And then just because of the whole situation, there was no other option than just to go back home, to go back to the Alp. What the owner of the bar was able to drive the woman to our Alpage, so she doesn't have to walk anymore. And so when we arrived home, it was for me internal, I was really it was a very difficult moment, because I knew that when I didn't listen, often always things just happen in a bad situation. So I felt very guilty towards the people who were participating, but also they do know, because we had the conversation before, that for me, I always try to explain that everything always happens in life for some kind of reason. So this was a perfect example. I explained them my situation, why, in my opinion, this happened, and luckily enough, they were able to really understand my explanation about this. But I still felt so guilty. You cannot even imagine that even the day after, I was completely sick. I couldn't move anymore. I was just sitting in my chair, feeling completely guilty, feeling completely stuck, and I didn't know how to solve this problem. Luckily, my girlfriend was able to jump in. She guided the people, she went to the horses, and we did many other things. And so the reason why I was just feeling so sick, because even then, even if I have such a really clear sign, that I say, even then I was still so stubborn that I was going to continue with the groups after. I knew that it was not necessary to go for hikes. I knew this, but my promise towards people was so big, I always tried to keep this promise, even if I suffer from this choice. So that's the reason why I became sick, because my body was really showing me every sign that I really have to listen to what it was saying. Very difficult. With the group afterwards, after one day, I was starting to feel better. I had a really good insights with those people, so everything turned out good. So it was not bad at all. Even if it was difficult, it was still okay. When the people left, I was still struggling with myself so bad, you cannot even imagine. And then I was very lucky with my girlfriend, and she was just saying, why would you not call just the people and explain about the situation, and then just change your program? Nothing's gonna hold you back. You can just call them, and if they don't want to participate on this new program, then they can just cancel. It's not a problem. But once again, my responsibility was so big that I was still not able to really manage this, just this feeling towards those people. So after, I think it took me 1 week or something to really figure it out. And then I decided to just call the people. I'm just gonna change the program. I'm gonna say to them that, okay, I've learned my lesson now. If we really want to connect with horses on a deeper level, it's not always necessary to really do things with them. We can also just be on a beautiful location, feel safe, we can connect with each other and really go to the horses, but just with a different approach. So all the people afterwards, every person still came, and to be honest, they were really, really good. Everybody was really learning so much in so many different kind of ways. Not only just about horses, but just in life in general. That I was really happy that I made the good decision. So what happens now for the future? I learned my lesson, obviously. And what's the main thing that I also learned about this is, we have these days there are so many type of horse trainers. There are so many different type of approaches that it even sometimes becomes like it's some kind of competition. Everybody wants to prove their own thing and their own kind of method, and this is something which I was always stepping back away from. But because of this situation, I just started realizing what sometimes it's missing in this horse community, and that's just having a safer environment where you're able to see horses in a natural behavior. You can see how they make herds, and how these herds, I think it's a good word, how these herds are changing and how they're connecting with each other, and it's just such a beautiful experience that this is really something I would like to offer people. Not really doing something, but just being there and just seeing like what can horses teach us in a natural environment, and how can we connect with them without really doing a lot of exercises. So this is actually a little bit the point where I actually want to go towards to. There is also one more thing which I really also would like to explain to you guys, which was very difficult for me, and something that I really underestimated very strongly. This is also something that I realized here on the Alp, is that actually it was kind of a difficult moment, getting to the point as a horse trainer, having my own riding stable, giving the clinics in the other countries, and helping the other people. It took me really a long time to get to this point. It was really a lot of hard work, and it took me a lot of effort to really do this. So to stop doing this, stop my job, sell my riding stable, stop with my ex-girlfriend at the time, all of those things, when they stop from one day on another, it's really a big impact. And I know who I am, and I also know that I had to stop doing this to go to my next chapter in life. But it was more complicated than I was expecting. And this is something I was ignoring when I was hiking with the horses, when I was doing the online program and all those things. So I'm really, really very grateful for the time we had on the Swiss Alps. And so that's a little bit the same project we're gonna do now next summer. Instead of last year we did 8 retreats. This year it's only gonna be 2 or maybe even 3. We're gonna just have to talk to my girlfriend about this. So it's gonna be less work, it's gonna be calmer, maybe a little bit of bigger groups, but it's gonna be just very comfortable in a very good setup, good people surrounding each other, and just really connecting with people and horses on a deeper level. So this is the thing I'm gonna do now. I also really would like to talk much more and share my insights with you people. So that's why I also would like to do another live video next Thursday. So I suggest probably this video I will post tomorrow, after tomorrow. What I would like to do next session, so next Thursday, is to just reply questions that people would like to ask me. So you can just make comments below. I will take out the most important ones or the most interesting ones, which I think at least, and I will just reply to those questions to you guys. Also for the French people, I know that some French people really try to do a big effort now to really follow this story. So that's why I decided to make also a live session for the French people next Tuesday. It's gonna be the same time, 7 hours, 7 p.m. in the evening, but I will make also a post about this. So one thing, as you can saw in the beginning, what I also would like to share, I hope people saw how strange it was and how strange I was acting in the beginning. It's just because, once again, talking for a screen is something that's very, very, very difficult for me. But a very important thing, and that's also something which I would like to share more in the near future, in the next live sessions. If we want to develop as a person, then the most easy, but at the same time one of the most difficult things, is to follow our fears. Every person knows exactly what their fears are, but it's just very difficult to confront them. You know, for me, talking behind a laptop, doing this thing is a very, very strange, awkward situation. But I just have to do this. I just have to ask myself the question, why? Why am I stressed by doing this? And if I'm able to find a solution and find an answer for this, my inner feeling, my calmness is only going to become much bigger. And this is something which you will just see now for the next couple of weeks. I hopefully think, and I'm always 100% sure even, that next session I will talk slower probably. I will fix this problem with the screen. As you can see, once again, I'm putting up my right hand and on the screen is the left side. This really messes up with my mind. It sounds pretty stupid probably for most people, but for me it's a strange thing. So anyway, I really enjoyed this live session. I hope you guys were happy with this conversation, and I'm really looking forward to next week. So don't forget to ask me questions in the comments below, and I'm really looking forward to next week. Thank you guys, wishing you a good evening, and see you guys soon. Ciao ciao.